to Unwelcome, which Sharon and Sean have seen. So Sean and I have done quite a bit of talking. So we're going to let Sharon. Sharon, take it away. Tell us about this.
Unwelcome is a British film. You start off with a young couple who are living in quite a rough area in London. I don't know which part of London. And
Most of
at the
it.
beginning of the film,
most of it.
I don't know London very well at all, I'm afraid. I'm real provincial, utterly provincial in my outlook.
You must come
so this couple live in quite a rough area of London, and they've only just found out that they're expecting a baby at the beginning of the film, and the husband goes out to buy a bottle of something to celebrate, and there's this group of
youths.
Aggressive youth who are hanging out outside, and they give him a bit of chat as he walks by, and he goes in the thing, buys what he wants, and then comes out and they give him a bit more chat, and he turns on them and said, "Oh, didn't you just clear off?" and gives them a bit of chat back, and then he goes into his flat, locks the door, and he thinks that's all over, and then they basically follow him and break in, and they're both traumatized. And just about a year later, well, not quite a year later, so she's only just pregnant then, so when she's about 8 months later, when she's just about to have the baby, his dotty aunt, who lives in rural Ireland, it's rural Ireland because the first woman you meet is called Neve, and the first man you meet is called Seamus. So it's when
do they say top of the morning by any chance?
Not in this bit, but you get the feeling that somewhere in the background someone's going to be like going dee 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 dee. It's one of them.
Oh, look at the leprechaun.
They're in proper Ireland. That's sort of like witchy Ireland, that misty shrouded woods and things that are a bit other, and so they inherit this house.
I was just going to say, and don't forget the obligatory car shots.
Oh, they're driving, they've got a yellow car
with loads of like.
You see them driving a lot of distances. Yeah, about Christie Road.
Been a lot of that lately. In movies.
A lot of green fields. Anyway, so they have this quite isolated house. It's on the edge of a wood, and at the bottom of the garden, there's like this sort of little tiny door, and the lady who's been caretaking after the house, Neve, says, I don't want to sound really weird, but every day you need to put out a blood offering for the redcaps. I can't pronounce the Irish word for it, but basically they're the redcaps. They're the little people who live in the woods. And you have to give this sort of like oblation. You have to give them like this appeasement that you give them a blood offering and then they'll leave you alone. But if you don't do that, unpleasant things could happen. And they're going, yeah, we promise, that's fine. But we don't want you, because we've had this horrible experience where we've not felt safe in our own home. We want to feel safe in our own home. So we don't want you coming to do this. We will leave us alone. Trust us, we'll do it. And so and then immediately what's going to
happen. Don't feed them after midnight. Don't let them get wet.
And they've got some work that
feed them before midnight.
So then the story progresses. They're moving into the house and they desperately need some work doing. And they ring all around the local area, like the local builders, and they can't get anyone to do the job. And then they've come across this sort of family who are like, yeah, we're available. We'll come and do the work. And you have Cole Meany, whose name is Daddy. He's just called, Daddy, basically. Call me Daddy. And he's got one son played by Hodor, Liam. He's called Liam. And then he's got sort of a younger son called Killian, and a daughter who's just ghastly. What's her name?
They're all pretty ghastly, really. Ashlyn or something like that. Ashley.
And they were basically the most ghastly, awful people you'd ever want anywhere near your house.
I would have
come in, eat their biscuits, break windows, break things, use the toilet and don't flush it, and say inappropriate things. They're just like leery and Larry and ick. And so basically all these things combine into this hideous ordeal where things suddenly come to a head, where
don't forget
something happens in the woods, and she meets one of the redcaps.
So the redcaps, because I've seen the poster for this, and my first thought when I saw the poster, and it's like these redcaps looking through a hole in the ceiling at them, and my first thought was, gremlins. Someone's made an Irish gremlins.
And critters. I was reminded very strongly of Critters, the 1980s film.
Did you mention, Sharon, I probably wasn't listening, that she's pregnant? She's pregnant, and the story, you know, there's like a story about what happened to the auntie that died, what happened to. We don't know what happened to. She had a daughter, and we don't know what happened.
Was missing. Some people suspect that she killed the babe. Some people suspect that the red caps took the babe.
Took the baby. Yeah. So it's setting it all up for.
Remind me of the babe.
Babe. Especially with the shopping bag. Especially with the shopping bag scene.
Excellent film, right?
Yeah. So there are and then so things. I don't know how much to give away, but these red caps can be comic, but they can be creepy at the same time. Yeah. There's one scene where one of them they do speak.
They do speak.
One of them gets hit and goes, "Oh, no hitting, boy,
naughty boy."
But then ghastly things happen. So it is one of those sort of. It's comic. It's creepy. It's funny. It's a little bit like, what the hey.
So because I saw this and I thought, okay, it's gonna be Irish. They're not gonna have a lot of money to spend on this film, so it's gonna be a bit more budget. They have to be a little bit more inventive, and all that. So, but with that, it sounds like you kind of enjoyed it. How many stars?
Can I say a few things?
Yeah, sure.
Can I just say a few things about it? So this reminded me. I mean, there were some scenes which I think were from another scene. So the first scene, or one of the early scenes with the home invasion, was a bit like Death Wish films at the start, as I thought.
Yeah.
And then when they're sort of being sieged by that horrible family, that was very, very Straw Dogs. I don't know if you've ever seen Straw Dogs, you guys. Very, very Straw Dogs.
Obviously knows his 70s, 80s cinema, doesn't he?
So
there definitely references to loads of things from the 70s and 80s.
That's it. So I would say this is a cross between, and Toad's exactly right, this is a cross between Straw Dogs and Critters. Yeah, definitely. That's the two things. But that family were horrible. I would have kicked them out straight away from the first guy. That really annoyed me, actually, Sharon. To be honest, I'm like, why are you putting up with that? You silly girl. Don't, you know? I mean, I know that
both of them were young, and he was like, he's been training to do like Krav Maga and boxing and fighting and stuff, but he's not really aggressive, so he gets frustrated, but he's not really one of those men who's going to be like, come on there, and so you see that sort of how when he's pushed and pushed and pushed, he's like, you know, just leave me alone. He doesn't want to be like, come on. Whereas I think his wife was a bit more fighty, and I think that comes out in the story. She's a bit more like,
and especially
I'm a mama now, you know, mama bear and all that.
Especially at the end. I mean, you see, I even wondered at the end whether it was. From that last scene, I still wondering. I mean, when I think back, it definitely was. They were like the critter things, but I did think, was that all in them, perhaps in her imagination, and she actually did the deeds that were done? But no, I mean, that's looking too deep. So on the whole,
I don't think it was that deep.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm just trying to be that way. So stars wise, I mean, I didn't hate it. I thought it was really, really interesting. I thought it was a good go. There was some interesting things in it, and I've been thinking about it all day. So I didn't actually mind this movie. So
no, there were worse ways to spend an evening, because then Sean said, "Did you want to go and see Unwelcome?" I was just like thinking, "Do I?" And I said, "What do you mean, that creepy leprechaun thing?" And he was like, "Yeah." It's like, okay. But actually, I didn't hate it. And it had moments where it was quite funny. It was quite funny. Me of those early. It did remind me of like those sort of straight to video type films I used to watch by the dozen when I was in my teen years, and that we used to rent from something like, you know, sort of Critters and The Howling and these things that combine sort of horror and comedy. So
numbers, how many stars?
3 stars for me. 3 stars.
It's a 3. Yeah, it's a 3 as well.
You see, okay, now, bear in mind, this is a horror movie, and Sean is particularly hard on horror movies. And Sean, when a horror movie comes out, I just feel like Sean's going to see a horror movie, and I'm just expecting to come back and hear the, oh my God, oh, Toast, oh, you won't believe the nonsense. So for me, 3 stars is actually a massively high recommendation, enough to make me think I might go watch this film, even though I have a predisposed hate of horror.
I think it's just a bit different and dare I say it, a bit sort of original in a strange sort of way.
Yeah.
You know,
because I thought it was going to go down full on horror, really, and it didn't. It was the way it turned at the end. The end it surprised me because I'd seen the trailer and I thought, I know how this is going to go. I've seen the film from the trailer, and I think it still managed to surprise me. The way they framed the trailer was not the way the film actually
panned out.
Well, the truth is, and I personally, I am really, if you could say, this is like an Irish fill in the blank. I'm actually, if you could, this is like an Irish John Wick. I'm like, oh, I'm intrigued. This is like an Irish Star Wars. I would watch. So it's like I'm always like of a take on like an Irish take on something else. Like there was a film, what was it called? Like Bad Day for the Cuts, which is pretty much an Irish take.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I quite like that. Okay, cool.